Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I might wake up my 14-year-old, but it's 7:30 and it's not going to kill the guy. So I just put a turkey on, and then I was going to go add more wood chips to the thing because I put it on early this morning, and it was pouring down rain outside, and so I didn't want to go out there and get wet. So I was waiting for just a little bit, but there's so much going on right now that I wanted to. When we have little pullbacks like we've had, I like to give perspective to the situation. And for those of you that don't know, since there's so many new people here, if you look closely at my logo, you've probably never noticed my logo is a pair of big boy pants with cinnamon sticks in it, and what that comes from is during this bear market over the last 2 or 3 years, there were times when I told people that they had to understand what they were in, what this market is, that they needed to put their big boy pants on and grow up to, if they really wanted to understand what this market is and how this thing is going to work. With just 500 and something billion dollars in this market, you're going to have these major fluctuations. And even like over the last few days, one thing I kept saying to you, just because I've been in this, when you see these crazy weeks like we've had, just look at this. Even after this week, today we're looking at in XRP, we're looking at a 23% down. That on the surface, if that's all you saw, that would be pretty traumatic. But against the backdrop of this, 7 days, 85%, 30 days, 116%, 1 quarter, 102, 1 year, 150%. Against that backdrop, this is nothing. And it is nothing. And you do need to put your big boy pants on. Understand, this is not going to be, nothing goes up in a straight line. It is going to be a bumpy ride. You just have to accept that. And what I do is when the pullbacks happen, I just don't dwell on it. I don't stare at the screen all day. That's the wrong thing to do. And as you can see, things look like don't be surprised, by the way, if on this Thanksgiving, when everybody starts talking, here's the way the conversation would go at my dinner table. If it was full of people who were wanting to know about this whole space, the way the conversation would go is, hey, XRP is the one. It's going a lot further, and in the scheme of things, this is not a down day. It's a buying opportunity, and that's what it is. I mean, I've been buying, you have no idea. I watched this market as I recall, in the height of this whole thing. This figure right here, the total market cap of all crypto, got all the way down over the last 2 years to around 100 billion. And not just that, during that time, it was article after article. They were saying Bitcoin's going to go to zero. Crypto's a scam. It's for money laundering. They were telling us this wasn't going to be anything. They're not saying that anymore. I'm going to show you what they are saying and more what they're saying and make you understand. If you're out here and you just invested in this and you're a part of this space now, you got lucky. Good for you, because you showed up at a time when you don't have any real worries. This is happening. Now, are there going to be pullbacks? Of course there's going to be pullbacks, but this is going down. And I'm going to show you a video here in a second. All right. I wanted to show you, this is where I watch the market, and you can see that this thing went down, I think as low as 51 cents or so. And it's kind of trending back up right now on Coinbase. And I'll say it again. Do not be surprised if you don't see a shot straight up today, because people are going to start talking and people are going to start opening Coinbase apps and downloading Coinbase and all this stuff. And don't be surprised if you start to see a spike. Joker he says this, are we in a bull market? I can't remember any bear market in my lifetime that assets pump 200 to 300%. And I can't remember that either. Now, watch this. this is, there's two things I want you to get out of this video. This guy, it's the guy from MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor. Now, he's a Bitcoin max, so you got to see through that on these things because for whatever reason, that's all they're going to talk about for now. But what I want you to get out of it is that this guy's not a dummy. He knows the markets, he knows his business, and he knows what's going on out there. And everything he says here makes 1,000% sense. And at the end of this, he tells you that what's coming next is what I've been talking about on this channel. He said, what's coming next is you're going to start hearing the Googles and I don't remember which companies he uses as an example specifically, but the Googles, the Teslas, the, Apple, or those companies are going to start announcing that they have bought crypto, Bitcoin, or whatever. It doesn't matter which one, whatever they announce. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to make a huge difference on the market. These are the things that are coming, and he tells you they're coming. But the other thing I want you to notice in this, and the person conducting this interview is Melissa Lee. Now, I like her. I like a lot of the people on CNBC. But let me tell you what. The entire theme of her interview is trying, just like the Sorkin guy on there, the entire theme is to try to tamp down the enthusiasm for Bitcoin. And I'm going to show you, and these people ought to be ashamed of themselves because and I'll pull them up now. Did they tamp down, and you'll notice it when you're watching, but did they tamp down these guys? When we went through the financial crisis and they printed this country into more debt than has ever been seen in the history of the world, they celebrated these guys on CNBC. Ben Bernanke, Tim Geithner, Hank Paulson. These were the guys that presided over the financial crisis. These were the guys that bailed out their friends. These were the guys that were on the phone behind the scenes with Warren Buffett and letting him invest in Goldman Sachs and getting a government guarantee. But these guys, and there's Sorkin, he's one of the bad guys in the equation. These guys were held up by CNBC as heroes when they really did nothing more to this country than this. This is what they did to this country, but they're held up. Now, against that backdrop, I want you to listen to this because this man makes sense. And you tell me what you think. This is why we're all here. Listen to what he is saying because he is thinking the way you and I have to think about the inflation and the things that have been caused by the ridiculous things that these people did to save their banker friends and to save themselves. And that's why we're here. That's why crypto is what it is. That's why it represents the opportunity that it does for you and for me. Listen to what he says.
Let's bring in Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy. Michael, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
We had you on because you're the CEO of a software company who decided to invest your cash into Bitcoin. And I'm wondering how you came about that decision. Were you thinking we've got a lot of cash because our business generates a lot of cash?
Came about the decision because
so,
he lived
could it be treasuries or money market?
This. He has seen what you have all propped up and gone along with. That's why he's...
Well, the story here is due to the rapid expansion of the monetary supply by the central banks, the cost of capital has tripled from 5% to 15% over the past year. And if we look out over the next 4 years, bond coupons and EPS growth rates are going to need to exceed that hurdle in order to preserve wealth. We had 500 million worth of cash, but we knew we were going to generate another 500 million worth of cash. And we realized that if we held it in cash, it was going to debase by 10, 15% a year, and I didn't want to lose half of it. So what isn't so well understood is the BTC. Bitcoin is the best safe haven treasury reserve asset in the world right now, and it's engineered to be superior to gold in all aspects. So that being the case, a lot of people understand the asset story of Bitcoin. It's up 100% annually each year for the past decade, more or less. Mm-hmm. What they don't understand is that Bitcoin's it's a monetary network. And as a monetary network, it's capable of storing and channeling energy over time without power loss. So we got really excited about this idea, and we saw it as a solution for the store of value problem, not just for the $300 trillion of capital in the world, but for the 7.5 billion people on the planet. And so that's pretty compelling.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt, Michael, but cash on a balance sheet and wanting to preserve the power of that cash is one thing. Investing it in something that's speculative is another. I mean, are you Are you a software company or are you a Bitcoin hedge fund at this point? I mean, why bother with the software part of the business if your belief truly is that Bitcoin is going to go up 100% every year, going forward?
Well, first of all, we do have a software company generating cash, but if we simply swept the cash into fiat currency and allowed it to debase at 15% a year, we'd be losing as much on the balance sheet as we generated from the P&L. So that didn't make sense. On the other hand, the traditional concerns about Bitcoin have been that it might be hacked, it might be copied, it might be banned. And after a decade, it hasn't been hacked. No one's managed to copy it. It's not going to be banned. So although people look at it as being volatile, it's volatile maybe in the first decade. The next decade going forward, it doesn't look like it's going to be that volatile. It actually looks like it's emerging as the primary Treasury Reserve asset for people that are looking for some way to avoid the great monetary inflation.
How do you view, though, the size of your Bitcoin position relative to the size of your business? And is there a point at which, even just for portfolio management purposes, you trim your Bitcoin position in order to be conservative? I mean, your enterprise value is, what, $2.4 billion or so? I'm not sure what your Bitcoin position is. You initially invested $400 million or so back in August, and that position's got to be enormous by now.
Well, look, we love the enterprise business intelligence business, and we want to be in it, but we don't want to decapitalize the company by drawing our treasury to zero, and we don't want to allow our treasury to be debased by 10 or 20% a year either. So we had to do something. I think that as investors start to understand the Bitcoin story,
they're still calling. They're still calling on their screen. They can't call it XRP. They still call it Ripple. And don't think for a minute that these guys don't know the score here. They know exactly what it's called. For whatever reason, they've got this slant in the media. But I hope that you've noticed. I'm going to play the rest of this because in a minute he's going to tell you what's coming. But I wish for one time I could see CNBC get one of these guys on and be skeptical about the money printing and the bailing out and be skeptical about whether or not this is sustainable, the U.S. national debt. But not once. No, they're never skeptical of that. They're skeptical of what common sense people are going to do in reaction to these ridiculous government bureaucrat decisions that are made that are killing this country and putting us in a horrible situation. So listen to what he says is going to happen next. And this is what's important. What you see in these markets on a day-to-day basis means nothing. You tell me when PayPal announced that they were coming into this space, that's what you got. You got the market that we've seen over the last week or two. So what happens when it's a Google and an Apple and a Tesla? What happens when they start announcing that they're getting in this game? Because they are going to. It's coming. And when it comes, and this is not just me talking or him talking. When it comes, Google did not invest early, Google Ventures, in Ripple and all these technologies. They've got their money all in this. They're just waiting for the right time. You're going to see these guys and they're going to go all in. You'll have, before it's over, you'll be buying crypto on Google, period. Okay? On Amazon, I don't care where it is, eBay, whatever. It's all happening. It's coming. So listen to what he says. You can hear it from him now.
Going to migrate their capital on the Bitcoin network, and that's going to create a virtuous cycle of adoption, followed by price appreciation, followed by value accretion, followed by technology integration from companies like, you see Square and PayPal. It'll be Apple and Google shortly. That's going to drive more adoption. And that means that you really want to plug your company into the Bitcoin monetary network, right? It's probably the biggest thing that's happened over the past decade. It's going to be bigger than the FANG stocks. It's going to be bigger than Apple, Amazon, Facebook, the social networks. And it's the ideal time to plug into it because 99% of the investors don't understand what I just said. And with $350 billion of monetary energy in the Bitcoin network, it's all but unstoppable at this point.
Last quick question, Michael, and this is a simple, straightforward. Are you a software company or are you a Bitcoin fund?
Our P&L is a software company, and we sell the world's best enterprise business intelligence software.
Okay.
Our balance sheet is no longer invested in dollars. Our balance sheet is invested in BTC because we believe that's the best treasury reserve asset we could choose in the world.
Let's bring in Michael Saylor.
You could choose XRP, but we won't talk about that right now. Okay, Riz XRP sent me this. This is from JP Tirrett. He's the CEO of Uphold. And he said, what I wanted to let Uphold users know that as a step in trying to help victims of the cred collapse, for those of you that don't know the cred collapse, apparently Uphold had allowed you to, on their platform, they had through a partnership with this company called Cred, they allowed you to earn interest on your digital assets. And apparently Cred ran into some kind of financial problems, and I think they filed bankruptcy. I don't quote me there, but I think they did, or something's going on. But anyway, he says the Flare Foundation has agreed to grant Uphold's users who may have lost their XRP with Cred their corresponding amounts of Spark token. We will continue to pursue both legal and extra legal strategies to do all we practically can to help those suffering from this situation. So they are working on it. So you need to contact Uphold if you were someone who got burned by that. And I'll just weigh in on this. I have never said to go and try to earn interest on your crypto, because I've never trusted I'm not saying that Uphold had any bad intentions or anything, but I've never trusted these high percentages that they're trying to pay in crypto and all. It just, if it's too good to be true, it probably is kind of what I learned. Ticket attorney. Brian Armstrong did a long thread, of which I'm not going to go through with you. The way I understand his thread is that he thinks Steve Mnuchin is about to come out with some major regulations. He says, last week we heard rumors that the U.S. Treasury and Steve Mnuchin were planning to rush out some new regulation regarding self-hosted crypto wallets before the end of his term. I'm concerned that this would have unintended side effects and wanted to share those concerns. Now, having read the thread, the gist of it, he's saying self-hosted crypto wallets. And when I hear that, I'm thinking, as an example, just let's say a Ledger Nano S. And the way I read it is he thinks they're about to come out with regulations so that in order for money to go on or off of a Coinbase type platform onto one of these type of self-custody things like a Ledger Nano S, you would have to have all of the information about the person who's got that Ledger Nano S before they could send money on or send money off to that self-custody wallet. That's the way I read it. And he's talking about how bad that would be and what a nightmare that would be is basically the gist of it. Okay. James Angel, this guy pretty much hit it right here. Bitcoin is the new Netscape, a great technical advance that will likely be superseded by other products, leading to big losses for those who get caught up in the bubble frenzy. The cryptos that pay off in the long run will be the ones that provide real utility and cash flows. Now, this guy is not just some Joe Schmo. This guy is a Georgetown professor specializing in financial market structure and fintech. Well, let me tell you how that applies to XRP. There's another guy who's a Georgetown professor. His name's Chris Brummer. You can look him up. He is the guy that does the DC FinTech Week and has hosted guys like the SEC chairman. Brad Garlinghouse has been there at least 2 or 3 times that I know of. Chris Brummer is very plugged in with what's going on with Ripple. So this is one of his colleagues at Georgetown. So don't think for a minute that this guy does not know what you and I know. This guy knows that ultimately, this is the line right here. The cryptos that pay off in the long run will be the ones that provide real utility and cash flows. A part of me has always believed that these big billionaires, they want to run Bitcoin up to whatever the figure is, 100K, 500K, and then they're going to transition because they know that ultimately the money is going to be in the things that are going to be used, that have real utility, and that they might pivot from Bitcoin at that point. That's kind of why I'm invested in, I've got a little bit in Bitcoin. And the reason is I want to ride it up, and I don't know what my sell point will be. I think it will go to the 100,000, maybe even 1 million, who knows? But I think at some point, a lot of those guys are going to rotate to what they know is going to be the digital assets that are limited in amount that have real utility. Okay, XRP Crypto Wolf is back. And by the way, somebody told me to shout out I Am Legion. I Am Legion was one of my favorite people that did a lot of research on XRP and Ripple, and he just decided to up and leave. And so I wanted to give a Thanksgiving shout out to I Am Legion. You're missed. Come on back. Just reactivate the account. I was just thinking the other day about how sickening it is that all of that information, all those threads that he had, I hope that those are not gone with his account, because I hope that he can just reactivate the account and all that information is there, because the guy is literally going to go down in the history books unless he just doesn't want to. Okay, XRP Crypto Wolf, the number of Google searches containing the term Ethereum has reached its highest level since February 2018. Retail seems to be interested in cryptocurrency again, like back in 2017, which in turn will bring in a lot of new money into this space. And then he says the daily social volume mentions on crypto platforms of XRP is on the verge of surpassing Ethereum for the first time in 7 months. This crossover would be significant as it signals change in interest level between the two assets, regardless of positivity. Then we have this from Stewart XRP. This is great. Folks, especially if you're new here, there was someone named Kendra Hill who posted on Steemit, I believe, a couple of years ago. There's about 5 or so people who have showed up on Twitter or showed up on these different platforms like Steemit. They talked about XRP and Ripple as if they knew something, then they disappeared. This has happened at least 5 to 10 times with different people over the course of the last 2 years, while many of you didn't know anything about this stuff, but we were here and we saw them. So every once in a while, I like to bring them back up. Esoteric XRP, who could be one of them, HODL, they will try to shake out all the weak hands. Remember what Kendra Hill said. The media will use trickery to convince you that XRP is not worth investing in long term. Use your brain, not emotions, and stay strong. Talk to me if you are unclear about something. I can explain everything, and I enjoy helping others. Soon enough, I will be able to send people a blog post to answer their questions that makes things easier. 5 years, now remember, this is back in 2018, I believe. 5 years from now, it will be the upper class that is in possession of almost the entire supply of XRP. It is not meant for the lower class. However, at this moment in time, someone from the lower class can buy, hold XRP, allowing them to move up in the world. I call it the token of freedom. I want to draw your attention to this because I've heard this I'm telling you, I've heard this over the last few years from at least 5 to 10 different directions. Different varieties of this. XRP, it's not meant for the lower class. It's not for you. I've heard that so many times I can't tell you. Well, this is important. Right now, some of you that are out there that are in the lower class, middle class, you can get it. Don't let go of your XRP, folks. Don't be fooled by these silly little corrections. This is nothing. Joker tweeted this. Dan Tapiero predicts 15 trillion or more will flow into gold and Bitcoin. Dan knows the markets very well. He says here, gold and Bitcoin both will do well. But what they don't know yet is that XRP is the fastest horse in the race. Exactly. Listen to this. Veteran macro investor Dan Tapiero, I think I'm saying that name right, thinks roughly $15 trillion in wealth could flow into Bitcoin and gold throughout the next decade. He's the co-founder of digital asset equity fund 10T Holdings, says in a new interview with Anthony Pompliano that in the next 10 years, financial institutions could invest up to 10% of their portfolios in gold and 5% in Bitcoin. He adds that some institutions may reverse that ratio, and some speculative investors that are used to sinking money into venture capital may invest 10 to 15% of their portfolios in each. That's a huge, huge chunk. I mean, 15% of $100 trillion is $15 trillion. That could be $15 trillion to flow, into gold and Bitcoin or more. I think it'll eventually be more. There's no question it'll eventually be more, but it's not going to be Bitcoin. It'll go into Bitcoin. Just mark my words. Write this down. XRP will pass both Ethereum and Bitcoin in the end, folks. All right. Wanted to bring your attention to this. Rand Nooner has now decided, this is Michael at VAL5 links, by the way. Rand Neuner has now decided to unveil the first call-in media channel, which is cryptocurrency-centric. The station, dubbed Crypto Banter, features exclusively various cryptocurrency news, opinions, interviews, and live discussions with various industry leaders. Well, here's what I'll say about this. Rand Neuner was the guy that ran the show, the CNBC Crypto Show, and the guy got disillusioned and he quit the space, which tells me that he never truly believed in it in the first place. He's also a guy who's been a basher of Ripple and XRP as often as he can. In fact, there was one time when this guy, when there was some news out that would have made Brad Garlinghouse look bad or something, he changed his Twitter handle to it said Brad Garlinghouse, and then he caught so much hell for it that he changed it back. But this guy is not a nice guy towards Ripple and XRP. I enjoy his show. I thought he did a good job, but for whatever reason, I think he's just a Bitcoin maxi guy. And look, he's one of those guys that if he was really into this stuff, where did he just disappear? He disappeared over the last 6 months to a year. I guess he just couldn't take the bear market, didn't really believe in what he was invested in. Well, actually, let me show you this. Don't forget, folks, because this is going to come to an end shortly. This ends on November 30th, the Black Friday sale. Link in the description of all my videos. You can go and get 40% off the Ledger hardware wallet to store your digital assets safely and control your own private keys. I'm the digital asset investor, and it's Thanksgiving. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that I'm about to go add more wood chips to my turkey. Thanks for listening.